Hello and welcome to the Southern Institute of Technology's academic program, the Certificate in Small Business Management. On today's episode, we're going to concentrate on one aspect of business, marketing.
Well, at Venture, we're a varied bunch of people. We do all types of projects, but my specific projects are in enterprise services. So we're looking at business startups, business assistants. We also help with mentoring services available, and I'm also involved with strategic projects right across Southland.
Do you deal much with marketing?
Well, we do. Marketing is a key area for any business, really. You can have a fantastic idea, you can have a fantastic product, but if you can't get it to the market, you're not going to make any money off it. So marketing is most definitely a key part of any business.
Once you've established who the target market is, what's the next step?
Right, so once you understand who your target market are, you then need to find out where your target market live. And how do I get my message to that target market in such a way that they understand and makes my product or service desirable to them? So for example, you may say, maybe you want to do gift baskets, which seems quite popular at times. So people put corporate gift baskets together, or gift baskets for holidays or for Valentine's. You've got to think, who are your target market? Firstly, it's got to be somebody who can afford the gift baskets. So you may find that majority of your target market are females or women. Maybe they're working professional women. So how would you target a working professional woman in Southland? And those are the questions you need to ask yourself.
If you're a smaller business with limited budget, can't sort of stretch to things like media or advertising, what's some other alternatives?
Well, I think you need to recognise right from the very beginning that marketing is a lot more than just advertising in the newspaper or advertising in a magazine. I think typically what you'll find with a lot of people in marketing, they believe that that is the totality of marketing. How many ads should I put in the newspaper? When in actual fact there are a lot of things you can do in marketing that don't cost you a lot, don't have to cost you a lot, and once you put them all together in a coordinated plan, you've also all of a sudden got a marketing plan. So, which is what I believe that a lot of small businesses need to do. You need to coordinate what you need to do. But let's take the person doing gift baskets, let's come back to that example and start to say, well, it just so happens that a lot of the people who are going to purchase these gift baskets, say for example, have children in daycare centres. So maybe making sure that you've got a notice on daycare centre notice boards saying this is the product that I have available. So that's not, it's cost effective, it's not too difficult to do, and you're targeting people who may be walking through those doors who like what you're wanting.
You mentioned earlier a marketing plan. What do you put in the plan?
We see a marketing plan, I think, is very important for a small business. Firstly, because a lot of small businesses have not a lot of resources at their disposal to put into marketing. So if you bring a plan together, you can begin to start making 1 + 1 = 4, which is what you need in marketing when you don't have a lot of money. So for example, your plan is going to start with, who's my target market? How am I going to get to my target market? What message is important to my target market? And you begin to pull all that together in one place. And that's also going to have a real impact on your branding. So what brand are you going to have? What does your brand need to look like? And what are the qualities your brand needs to put towards your particular target market? For example, you may have a product that is say a food product. And your particular food product is a high-end quality food product. And you want to sell it in gourmet food shops, and you want to sell it for, say, $8 a bottle, as opposed to going to the supermarket where it's sold for $4 a bottle in mass quantities. The marketing plan for selling in a supermarket at a lower price and a high quantity product is a lot different than if you had a high quality product with less quantities. You need two different marketing plans to make that work. So you really do need to understand your product, you need to understand your target markets, and then you start developing that strategy about how do I get my product to that market.
So how important is the marketing component in a business?
Well, I guess I'm a little bit biased on this, but I believe the marketing component is very important. As we said when we started, that you could have a fantastic service and a fantastic product, but if you cannot get it to the market, you're not going to make any money, and you will suffer as a business for that. So the marketing component, I do believe that you need to spend time and effort on it. There are a lot of people out there who spend a lot of time and effort in getting their service right, or they spend a lot of time and effort in getting the right machinery to build their products. Then they believe that, well, if I spend 20 minutes on a computer, I can design my own branding. And all of a sudden, all that money they spent getting their product perfect, maybe it's going to be seen as less than quality because they haven't got somebody to really pull together their marketing.
Is marketing a certain area where it'd be beneficial to get advice from other mentors or advisors?
Well, I think one thing about marketing, especially if you start to talk about brand and your message and the image you're getting out to the public, that is important to maybe start looking at professional designers, start looking at somebody who can give you some advice around your branding. That's where you do get the professional advice. There are other things you can do yourself though if you are looking to save costs. And one of those things is making sure that everything you do is integrated and coordinated. There's nothing worse than maybe having a business card that you've designed yourself being handed out to people, then you put an ad in the newspaper and it looks vastly different than your business card. You start confusing people. So being integrated and coordinated about your approach begins to set in people's mind that brand. So yes, it's important to get I believe, to get some professional help around maybe the image and what you're trying to pull together. There are things you can do though to help make that happen as well.
Everything seems to be going on the net these days. Is the internet a good way of marketing a business?
It is, and it depends what business you have. For example, if you're a bed and breakfast and your target market is tourists from overseas, then the internet's a fantastic way to begin to get tourists from overseas accessing your particular website and maybe booking online. So the web is a fantastic place, but you also need to recognise that a web page in itself, you still need to advertise that web page so people know to log on to your website to see what they need to do. So yes, the web is a fantastic tool and it can work in certain industries just absolutely brilliantly. And other industries it may not be quite so important to have a web presence. Right. So it does really depend upon your business.
Is marketing a certain area where it helped to get extra outside advice?
Well, there is the web you mentioned before. There's a lot of information on the web that you can go to for marketing. Come to Venture Southland, we'd be more pleased to have a talk with you. We run workshops, free workshops for businesses in town, in Southland, who are looking to just to increase their skill level maybe in the marketing side. Come and talk to us about those, we can do that. There's also marketing consultants around, as well as a lot of the print houses and a lot of the printing companies have a department to them that can help you with, say, graphic design as well.
It's time to take a look at our first business. Invercargill Breweries began as a father and son with a passionate hobby. Since their business launched in '99, they've continued to expand and now export throughout the country from their Invercargill premises.
History, we started our brewery in 1999 and we're originally in a old dairy shed in the middle of nowhere out at Rovaka Road, and pretty much was there till a year ago. We moved here June 24th, 2006, and since then we've been operating from Wood Street here. We've got, when we started off we had, it was basically me and my dad, cottage industry kind of deal. Just chipped away, just started learning how to make beer and learning how to do everything basically. And then made a decision that if we're going to carry this on, we have to bite the bullet and move to a different level. And so we moved to Wood Street, which is pretty much now become a commercial venture. It's what I call a real business now. We've pretty much, since this time last year, we've doubled production, pretty much doubled sales. And we have, what do we have? We have one full-time employee, that's Prue, and myself. And then we got a part-time salesperson and also another part-time worker. And that's who we are now. We've got something like 120 clients throughout New Zealand, large and small, and our aim is to get bigger.
How important is the marketing element?
Marketing is probably the most important element. When we first started off, first lot of beer, put it in the paper, and we waited for people to turn up. Okay, so I had no concept of what it was. Nobody turned up, of course, so then it was, you start to, well, we've got to go and see people, you know, so that was right at the start. This is like 8 years ago. We've moved on, and now it is one of the most critical parts of it. It's all about perception, how people perceive your products and also the brewery itself. So we've always created a high perception of who we are, and that's through things like beer awards, making quality products, selling it in the right places, things like that.
How do you know who you're marketing to?
That is a tough one. It's a case of looking who's buying your beer, and the beer in our case. So what I've done is basically set down as what's a consistent seller. We make 5 beers and a cider. So what's the most consistent? What is the one that fits into the market the best? Why is it doing these things? So it's a case of then start thinking about the market in a case of who you are, like who the Invercargill Brewery is, within the total market. And our total market's all drinks, theoretically. So you keep narrowing it down until you get down to where a microbrewery selling a very select beer into a very defined market. To define it, what you have to do is you've got to find out where you sit in the world. So what I did was started researching what the biggest beer businesses in the world are, and there's pretty much 5 or 6 big beer companies, and within that they've got so many different brands. And you start listening to them, see what they do, you understand the how the market works. And then what I also started doing was watching similar sized businesses to myself, what they do in that market as well. So then it's just really thinking about it, and also thinking about where you want to be in that market. That's really critical, because say for beer, 320 million litres of beer are sold each year. So how much do we want to? How much of that beer do we want to have? And you sit down and say, so if you said 1%, that's just over 3 million litres a year if you wanted that market share. So then you think, well, can we produce that? Is that feasible? And I've always got the positive outlook, and I always say it is feasible, because to a certain degree the only person that can stop you doing anything is yourself. So you start thinking positive, and you start thinking about how to get that chunk, and that's what we're doing now. And what it does come down to, a lot of it, is building a brand. If you look at some of the most successful products, and not just beer, any product, they're a very good, strong brand. So then it's a case of using what we've got, what we have, our perception. People have a high perception of us. We have awards, so it sits us well with the general consumer, sits us well within the actual beer market, because the products are becoming more, how do you put it, more recognised as a good beer, and also as a business. I'm becoming more recognised as a brewer. People are starting saying, Steve makes good beer, which is always good for me. So it's putting all that together.
Looking at branding, when you release a new product, what's the process you go through to choose the label and the image of the beer?
That's a process we're going through at the moment. It's that chicken and egg thing. You're almost waiting for the consumer to decide where or what your product should be. The way we're focusing it is trying to get as much feedback as possible all the time. So what we have to do is we have to try things, and what our whole concept behind our marketing at the moment is basically we'll sell one beer and really nail it, really put a lot of effort into the marketing. This is the product we're going to show off, etc. Make it good, simple, etc. And that particular product is our dark beer, which is pitch black. So then you look at other products on the market that are similar, and you see what they're doing, and then you think, well, what do I want this product to look like? So then you pick the perception that people want, and that's the hard one. The beauty of a dark beer, you can market it if you look at it, because New Zealand's national colour is black. So you've got all those kind of existing marketing that's already there. So you can use that because if people understand black, there's all sorts of You know, there's black sticks, there's black, etc. You know, the black caps. So people understand that whole concept. Pitch black itself commands a very, very small portion of the market, and just doing some numbers in my just in here, we reckon that a dark beer probably commands about 9 million litres, I think it was, or maybe 9%, I'm not quite sure about that. So when you look at those numbers, you go, well, surely we can plough our one beer into the market.
So let's see how big business does it. The Southland Building Society has a rich history that spans over 135 years. In the early days, banking services were limited to the south. Today, however, SBS has 13 branches nationwide.
Southland Building Society is a financial organisation that specialises in providing banking services to its members. And when I talk about members, what I mean is that it's a mutual, it's a building society, and so those members that come and bank with us with either their mortgages or their savings or their cheque accounts actually become owners of SBS, and so they have a vote and a say in our direction via the board of directors who represent their needs. So it places a lot of pressure on us from a marketing team to ensure that the needs of the members are served when we're offering those banking products to them.
When was it established?
SBS was established in 1869. So that makes it about 138 years old. It was established here in Invercargill. It has its head office in Invercargill today, and it was established because there were 13 community leaders who believed that in order to stimulate the economy of Southland, they needed to take Southland money and invest it in Southland people who were wanting to build their homes and build their businesses. So SBS was established to be the financial expert in the middle of that relationship between people with money investing in people who needed money. So that was its purpose, and that's the purpose that it still has today.
So how many personnel do you have working on the marketing side of things?
In our marketing team, we have a marketing team of 2. We also have a product team of 3, excluding myself as head of marketing.
So what are the main forms of marketing SBS uses?
Our marketing effort actually spans the whole of our team. Our retail team, for example, the people in our branches, which are throughout the country, there's 13 branches in all, they have a big role to play in terms of developing the business in their local territories. So a big part of our marketing effort is stimulated by the efforts of those people to get out and about in the community and spread the word about SBS. So they're a major lever for us in terms of building our brand and profile. The other things we're heavily involved in is advertising. And in our industry, we have a range of banking service providers that are pretty large. The 5 main trading banks are all backed by Australian conglomerates with extremely large advertising budgets. So we have a real challenge with our advertising budget to extract as much value as we can, given that we have about 1/10 of the size of their advertising budget, to try and push our message out into the public and make ourselves heard. So advertising is a big part of our marketing effort. And the other part of our marketing effort is sponsorship. We get involved heavily in localised community sponsorship, very much driven by our retail teams, and that's to deliver on a key part of the SBS Charter. Our SBS Charter is all about returning the benefits back to members, making it worthwhile becoming a part of or bringing your business to SBS. The other side of our charter is about returning value to our community. So we use sponsorship as a means to return value back to the community, but also as a means of promoting our own brand.
So can you talk us through the process of putting a marketing campaign together?
Well, there's different kinds of marketing campaigns that we engage in. Some are quite localised, others are nationwide. For example, we recently launched a new product, an online savings product called the iSave, and we had all our branches dressed in pink and doing the hokey cokey, or a version of the hokey cokey, as a part of a catchy jingle to put alongside this this new product. The product itself was all about competing with other bank products, other banks that were putting out a similar product. What we did was, with our campaign, is that we set the goal in terms of what we wanted to achieve, what kind of volume of business did we want to attract, and what were the best ways to attract it. Then we thought about our markets. And one of our best markets is our own membership base. So the first phase of our marketing effort, our campaign, was about focusing in on our membership base and offering the product to them. We got 90% of the way towards our target just by being smart and clever with our marketing effort and focusing in on our own members. Often we'll trial things till the cows come home. You know, we'll trial, we'll get a campaign out in one territory in the country, and we'll mix and match things to see different parts, to see how it works, how attractive it will be. We'll look at the way that the campaign presents itself. We'll look at the content of the campaign, the design. We'll look at where we've placed it. We'll test to make sure that the right people are hearing about it and people are aware of it. And then we'll test whether the product itself is being taken up, whether it's being accepted. And we'll trial things quite substantially before we actually commit to major investment.
How important is branding to SBS?
Branding is hugely important to SBS. We're in the business of banking, where it's very important for the members or our customers to have trust in SBS as an organisation, and to know that when they're investing their funds, that their funds is in a place that they can trust to look after those funds. So it's very important for us to invest in the creation of a brand positioning and a brand presentation which gets across that sense of trust. We invest quite heavily in good creative around our brand, and we conduct regular independent market research so that we can understand across the country how our brand is performing. It's really interesting for us to learn that, for example, we know in Southland we've been here for 137 years, so we've got a 90% brand awareness and acceptance here in Southland. But in, for example, Bay of Plenty or Waikato, where we've opened our latest branches, we've got brand acceptance of around 30 to 40%. So we track that, and we implement an advertising program which tries to be cognizant of those varying brand awareness and acceptance ratings, and is able to move a brand along depending on where it is in terms of its stage of development or maturity. We've made a recent change to our brand, whereby we've reduced the Southland Building Society to the letters SBS. Well, that hasn't been so recent really, that's been 10 years ago. But in the last 2 years we've added a slash and the word banking beside the SBS, and created it's not our title, it is really saying that SBS is in the business of banking. Because one of the biggest brand challenges we were facing, especially in territories that weren't so familiar with us, was who's SBS and what do they do? So adding the word banking to our logo has really increased our level of brand acceptance. And just to illustrate that, the latest market research that we did earlier this year showed that in Christchurch our brand awareness had lifted from about 40% brand awareness to 60-70% brand awareness, just by adding the word banking and being a lot smarter with getting SBS banking out there.
Now that we've met our businesses, what advice can they give on avoiding pitfalls in marketing?
Pitfalls are found. One's really important. Marketing, advertising, is be very wary of what you're going to spend. Make sure you can measure it. And the other one is too that, remember, if you spend $300 on an advert, doesn't matter where it is, you've got to sell 3 times as much product just to break even. So are you able to do that without doing that advertising, or is there any point in doing it? It's just being very aware.
One of the pitfalls that I've found in marketing is not staying tuned in to what the organisation needs from a campaign or from a marketing effort. Very often, especially in a large organisation, when you're dealing with creative agencies or media placement agencies, they may create a solution which could be about more about the creative effort and less about being tuned into what the organisation really needs to achieve from the promotion. So from a large organisational perspective, being able to represent the organisation's needs when dealing with creative and media placement agencies, and ensuring that you always stay tuned in to developing a solution which will achieve what the organisation is trying to achieve, is one of the pitfalls that I've learnt to avoid.
And what's the biggest lesson so far that they've learnt in business?
There's two things I've found, and it's thinking small. You think small, you're going to be small. And the other one is get as much bang for your buck as possible. And to do that, you've got to think outside of the square. Do as much free stuff as possible before you're going to actually buy anything.
One of the best lessons I've learned, and this has probably been more recently in my marketing career, is the importance of trialling the campaigns that you're developing and trialling the changes and the things that you're doing with marketing. It's very important to understand that it's almost next to impossible to get the perfect marketing campaign happening straight away. But if you create an opportunity for yourself to be able to trial it and test different applications throughout different parts of the marketing campaign and different applications, you really position yourself to mould the campaign into something most likely to achieve the goals that you have ahead of you. So trialling it is very important.
Thank you for joining us for the Southern Institute of Technology's academic program, the Certificate in Small Business Management. If you would like more information about this course, you can contact the team at SIT on 0800 SIT to Learn. Join us next week when we'll be taking a look at human resource. See you then.